Namaste. Welcome to the Conscious Convo podcast. I am your host and teacher, Pippa Leslie. I'm here to share everything I learn, see, and channel. This podcast is for the conscious and curious beings who are ready to dive deeper into spirituality. I am so grateful you are here. Hey guys, welcome back. So I'm here today with Michelle from the Crystal Point, who sponsors the podcast. So she's here to introduce a beautiful guest who she's recommended to speak to today. I love this because Michelle can just pass all these amazing people on and introduce them to me and bring them on the podcast. Her name is Ali and she's here to talk to us about yoga today. And I want to ask you some questions further in the interview about yoga and pregnancy and conceiving, because that's my next stages in life. And also Michelle is going to be talking about some crystals for fertility. So I'm going to be taking away some notes. So Ali, I'm going to ask you first just to introduce yourself and say hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm Ali. I'm good, thank you. It's nice to meet you. And thank you for inviting me, Michelle.
You're welcome.
So tell me how you got into yoga.
This latest time, that I think that's the most important. After I'd finished having my own children, there became this real weight of what next. Yeah. There'd never really been a direction. From very young, we hear these, a lot of us hear these messages of, you're going to grow up, get married, have children. That's your focus. Not that I hadn't had career before, but it was just, what now? How am I going to be of use? How am I going to be of service? Outside of this, what I've now found is quite a masculine role. So something ended up coming up on my Facebook page during one of my I Feel Useless, and I signed up and redid my qualifications, and bada bing, bada boom, here we are. I'm now a few years down the track from that. That was 6 years ago that I updated and decided that I would start coming back to these classes, and it's so good. I'm in such a good place. I feel really good about it all. The clouds are lifting, the path really shows itself. I really feel like making the yoga a priority helped me make myself a priority. And I think as mums, we have so many areas that we're lacking, not having our needs met. I think that happens regardless of whether we have children. It's that push. So it was just a moment to stop for me.
I love that. We've just been talking before we press record, and I said, why aren't we recording what we're just talking about? Like, we had some really good, interesting topics to talk about, and we'll probably try and touch on them if they come up in the conversation. But I love how you said the what's next, because I'm always thinking of the what's next, what's next. Like I've just got married, my parents have just left today, I've been quite sad today, and I'm thinking, what's next?
That's where the anxiety comes in.
Yeah. So instead, I need to just be like, can I just sit with today and feel into that sadness and give myself self-love, do some yoga, watch a Disney movie. That's what stuff I love. And I think that for a lot of women, we're just in this, especially from like how our generations have brought us up as well. You think about your grandmothers and your great-grandmothers, they're always doing, cooking, cleaning, all that kind of stuff. So for me, it's helped me to really slow down. Actually, I want to bring something up, it's just coming to mind. Last night, my mum got really upset, and I think it was a mix of leaving New Zealand with me here, but also she's not been home for 3 months, and my mum loves her house, very house proud, very clean. She loves everything like perfect. And my brother-in-law is doing some work to get the heating going, because we have central heating in the UK, and they've had to cut a hole in the ceiling, and that room was only done about 2 years ago. So my dad showed her this picture of this hole in the ceiling, and she freaked out really. And I sat with her and I said, what is it? And she said, it's just control. Someone made a decision without me. And so it kind of sat with me in the night. I got in bed with Chris last night. I said, seeing mum like that, trying to give her advice from, a daughter to a mother instead of a mother to a daughter, gave me a lot of pride, because now that wouldn't really bother me. It's just a hole in the ceiling. But I honoured why she was feeling that way, because she feels that way. And I told her about, look at these people who've just lost their homes in the floods and the cyclone. And I said, look at the scale. Is it going to matter in a few weeks? And she said, no. So I felt really proud that I got to have that conversation with her, and it brought everything into perspective of what really matters. And like you said, yoga's come into your life and it just changes your life, doesn't it?
Yeah. I find that one of the easiest things to do with yoga is make excuses not to go to yoga.
Oh, I've done that loads.
I've got a list, and I'll have full day conversations with trying to fit people into classes and times, and then they'll make an excuse not to come. And the hardest part of yoga is just showing up for it. Yeah. You know, that is, like, it's not easy for us getting up at 5 in the morning to make it for our early morning class. None of us want to talk to each other. We're like, it's pretty dark, go to your corner, leave me alone until we've done yoga. And we make it through together, and then it's the celebrations once you make it through as well.
Definitely feel good at the end of it.
Yeah, we really make time to celebrate with our yoga. It's always an accomplishment every time you show up.
Well, I'll be the one that's actually blah 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 in the morning because I'm a morning person, so you'd be like, Pip. I'm such a morning person, so I always think like I should do my workouts in the morning because I can easily get up early. Like I like going to bed early and waking up early. I like trying to wake up with the sun. But the last few weeks I've not been able to. It's been weird. Like there's been things going on. Like I've wanted to sleep, maybe because there's been a bit of the dread.
Time of deep rest.
Yeah.
It's a time of deep rest for everyone, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the major things about my classes is I know this is under the broad spectrum of yoga. But if we take away from that word and don't think of it as a yoga class, people come to learn how to manage their breath to help get rid of an unhelpful state. They learn how to move that breath through their body and accept the vessel they're in. And then they get downtime. Yeah. It's like, okay, so you had an unhelpful situation happen today and you wanted to cry. You held those tears in. Did you make time to go and cry that out later? You know, you pushed yourself hard. Did you make downtime to let that stress come out, to rest? Yeah. And I find that everybody really pushes themselves so hard. And the difference between our class and any other typical fitness class, perhaps, is just making it to your mat is already enough. We already know it's hard to get your lycra on and get to class. And roll out your mat and wonder where you're going to be and wonder who's there and how hard it's going to be and whether you're going to be able to sit still and whether you're going to be able to show up for yourself or lose balance or make a fool of yourself. There's all these judgments and expectations we already have. But if you get there and you lie down and you're like, nah, I'm not moving, that's it. You can stay lying down.
Shavasana, just do a long Shavasana. Yeah. It's like the key is to show yourself gratitude for actually getting out of bed and out the house to the class, to the mat.
Yeah, and we have that throughout the class too. We do some tougher poses and it might not be what you think. We're not standing on our head in the splits. Like some toe exercises that we do can be really intense. And then when we release it, we take that moment to celebrate. Like we survived that. Yeah. You know, we like to, whatever we do in the class, we like to apply it into a real life situation that might be showing up as a trigger. Yeah. For example. Yeah.
Yeah. I do have some questions for you. I know you've touched on this just now. You know, why should people do yoga? If you had to, like, someone who's maybe never done yoga, if you maybe let's ask that question to people who have maybe tried yoga and dabbled in it, and then someone who's completely new to yoga.
Yeah, we have both in the class. I think I did ask all my students why they do yoga, and I got such a varied response, and it was amazing. There was some big words, and then there was because it's cool, you know, it's cool and groovy. Like, first of all, you want to be able to make yourself a priority. We wear all these medals and badges of honor of all the ways in which we punish ourselves. So the first step in showing up to that mat is, hey, I've made myself a priority. I've chosen to do this. I've arrived for myself. Yeah. There's no further expectation. It's very quickly within that space you realize that this is the moment. This is the moment to breathe. This is the moment to move. This is the moment to pause. This is the moment to let go or release. It's, I guess, what we're doing is undoing conditioning. We're taught that our mind is separate from our body, is separate from our breath. So our breath couldn't possibly affect our state. In fact, an anxious breath creates an unhelpful state. So when we change our breath, we change our state. So already showing up and learning how to breathe effectively to change our state, that's all you show up for. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's no pressure. You know, I get a lot of excuses for why they can't. My arms are too short, my legs are too long, my body's not the right height, I'm not flexible enough, I've broken a pinky toe, like so many things. And I'm like, if you can breathe, you can show up.
Yeah.
That's the main. You arrive, you breathe, and be present for yourself. So everybody has various reasons. Basically, fitness is to get a tight ass, and yoga is to get your head out of your ass.
I love that. Yeah, that's what I think I'm going to call this episode. That's a good one. I know it is good. 'Cause, like, I get bored in the gym. Like, I really do get bored. I have to keep, like, changing up my workout, and I'll do classes, and then I'll do Pilates, and then sometimes yoga. But, like, you know, I have friends who commit to, like, 5 times a week yoga. And my spiritual teachers that I listen to, they were doing yoga, like, every day. Even if they didn't get to class, they were doing it at home. And there is something about yoga, like, you know, especially for, like, my excuse was, oh, I'm not flexible enough, or, you know.
Number one reason to go, right?
Yeah. You know, like, because, yeah, you want that quick result, don't you? If I want this, like, super stretch. But the thing is, yoga for me now isn't even about that. A quick example is my dad. We have friends in Australia, and we met up with them when we got married, and he's in his 70s, my dad's friend, and he had some back issues, and his doctor said, start yoga. And he initially said, oh, yoga's for women, it's feminine, you know, very, like, you know, it's for, and actually he texted my dad a few weeks ago and says, yoga's completely just transformed my body, my back pain's gone. And my dad's like, oh. So mum and dad have actually gone home today, and I said to them, you know, if you could, my mum started to suffer with a hip and a bit of sciatic pain. I said, Mum, get to yoga. Oh, I can't get on the floor. I said, it's not even about that. I said, you're talking yourself out of it before you've even tried it. You know, and it takes time, doesn't it? It's like you can't meditate once and be like, oh, I'm all aligned now. It's
totally
like,
can.
Well, you can, but I mean, like, for if you're in a stressful situation, like I would say, don't be an emergency meditator. You know, like, don't get into a slump and think I need to meditate now, because when my life's great, I feel like I don't need to meditate. But then really I still need to, because I love connecting, and I love getting messages, and I love aligning, and I love all the body scan. And so I think it's just being patient with the journey.
Absolutely. I think one of the big things why people don't do yoga and meditation is because we turn up for it, and we show up to be like, oh, this might be something that interests me. And then we hand them a machete. Like, Sadhguru has this really good thing, like, if you want to meditate, don't meditate with a machete, meditate with a needle, right? A little bit. Don't hack
away
at that with a giant, right? That's a little bit of yoga. Get down on your hands and knees and move your spine, or try and sit cross-legged, or sit in a chair and feel your body move, stretch up to the sky. That's yoga, that's moving. Making fists and rolling your hands. We put this big expectation, right, I have to go buy myself some lycra pants,
get the perfect mat,
top, get myself an expensive cork mat, I have to go and sign up and do 1 million yoga classes, and I have to be this perfect meditator. In fact, you can show up in your pajamas, and on Friday I did do yoga in my pajamas,
I love it,
in my red checkered PJs, my Pantera t-shirt. It was Friday morning. I went to coffee in my PJs, but we did our flow, we went for our coffee, we had our celebration. But it's little bits at a time. You know, there are days when I can't show up for it. And lying down and meditating, or sitting still and meditating, is really hard for some people. So a couple of the things is, you know, take it easy. Meditation can be one simple breath in and breath out, all the way up to a 10-day, like, silent meditation. Yeah. And yoga can be a weekend retreat in Bali, or it can be lifting one leg while you empty the dishwasher, you know, brushing your teeth while you squat. It's learning how to connect, to move away from what society deems as your mind, your body, your breath is separate, to bring them all together, to be like, it's mind, body. Yeah. I had one of the best stories I've ever heard when I was getting back into it, and I was nervous, my instructor, who runs some courses from up in Muriwai now.
Yeah.
Her name's Adele, and she's amazing, right? And she told us this story about one of her yoga students that she was around, and he was in his 90s, 97 maybe, and learning yoga, and they were in the old folks home, and he walks along the hallway ready for yoga class, looks in at the lounge full of 70 and 80-year-olds all sitting in chairs with walkers, and he was like, old people, you know, like he's 20 years older than these, but he's not skipped a beat with the yoga. And we have that saying, your spine, you're only as young as your spine is flexible. And if we come to yoga and we don't want to do any of my hard, like we do push the yogis, they have an option to be pushed. We can sit and we can move our spine. We can sit and we can move our head. We can stretch out our jaw and stick our tongue out. We can pick up a breath work really easy. 3 rounds of breath and your state has changed. You know, it's really, it's showing up for you and not following the rules. It's really learning to dig inside and be like, this is what I need right now. Like some of my students who never imagined that they'd ever even get to a down dog this week have been kicking up their feet and doing many little hops into handstands, and they're all like, yes, I'm the boss of side planks. Who knew I could ever do a side plank? And the celebration is real, right? We have somebody who came, and the first time they could put on their own sock again, they ran back in, I can put on my own sock! And it was just a round of applause. You know, it's not necessarily who can touch their head onto their foot. It's the basic things. It's the celebration of all those huge achievements that seem so small when we lose them. Well, they're small until we can't do them, you know, use it or lose it. We're really based on keeping that mobility and just showing up for self.
For me, it was, I did have my late auntie. She was 104 when she died, and I was so proud of her because she used a rowing machine every morning and went for a walk every single morning. And I thought, okay, no excuse for me. If she can do it, I need to start. And I can think of reasons why not to go to yoga, but I have lower back issues and I seldom have any pain now because of that stretching. And I know maybe I should do it more than twice a week. I should do some at home. I'm still going into that state yet. I haven't started at home, but just even going that twice a week, my back pain is virtually gone.
Yeah, it's crazy because I've been doing that as well. It's like, instead of just going to the gym and doing this huge workout for an hour and putting yourself at like, sometimes I find I can't do it. My body doesn't want it. I'll just want to go and like, put my legs up on the couch and let my back settle, or I'll do some like, where I put the ball between my legs and I'll do some like body movements to, feel flow in my body. Or I'll just feel like I want to just like stretch and do, the ones where you put your leg over and you just do a stretch yourself and you do some hamstring stretches. I just sometimes go with the flow. Again, flow of, and with yoga as well, Ali, like what I found is that every time I went to yoga, my body was different, depending on my cycle as well, menstrual cycle. Like some days I felt, I can get right down to I can touch my toes, or, downward dog didn't feel as tight. So I think there's days where your body feels heavier or it feels a bit more tight. That's when I think you breathe into it. Like I felt like I could breathe deeper into those, that tightness. What's that tightness feeling like? Is there a message around that tightness? So like with yoga, for me, it was flowing with the body, but also asking my body, how are you today? Like giving my body what it needed. Like, so if I left yoga and went home, what did my body need? Did I need a bath? Did I need to soak in Epsom salts? Did I just need to go and ground myself on the grass, whatever it was? But I think yoga for me definitely helped me to connect to body. Meditation does that as well, but yoga is a meditation to me. It's like connecting to your body and then giving your body that nourishment and love by stretching it and connecting to it. And like you said, your mat's like your vortex, isn't it? Like Abraham Hicks is like, for me it was like the mat was like the like you in this little mat, and it's just like let everything just ground into the. It's
interesting that you mentioned the mat. Just if you going back over a few things, the claiming of the back issue, and now that I have it and you're letting it go now. And the shoulds as well. Like when you told me you were coming to yoga, I was having kittens. I can't believe it. Michelle's coming. And then I'm like, no, don't think that she's not going to come, because she might not. Don't get your hopes up. And you have this strength, and you very quickly, your body is changing and becoming bendier already. I can see the changes in you, and the connection is deepening.
And I'm
with
like,
you,
Ellie is so loud and vibrant and scary.
for that 45 minutes.
It wasn't as bad as I thought.
When my guides take over me, as you said, yeah. The other thing with it is we get onto our mat, and then we turn into build a wall. Like, we build these 4 walls on our mats. So that's in one way really good. We really focus on, okay, get your eyes closed. We have a really dark room. There's no windows, there's no mirrors. And it's get your eyes closed and feel what it feels like on the inside. Forget everything you've seen on TV, all the sexualized yoga, the bikini body, some of it isn't great form, some of it's just nice to look at. So get that idea out of your mind and drop into your body, whatever you're wearing, however you're feeling. And one of the things they say is your best today may not be the best tomorrow, and your best today may not be the best you were yesterday. So just meet yourself where you're at. If you need to take an extended child's pose, if you need to smash out a flow, like, do it. Absolutely do it. And it's just about showing up for where you're at on that particular day. Because what I find is our lives are push. From a lot of us have got that message, that internal messaging that I'm not enough. Yeah. And we hear a lot of that, I am enough. But what is it when we actually accept that we are enough? That's going, I'm really tired. The last thing I want to do is show up and be present at yoga, because it's easier to get some chocolate and wine and sit on the couch and watch another series. But you don't regret showing up.
No, you never do.
Because you show up, you change your breath work, and then you celebrate, and you might show up and go, okay, I've done the breath work, Ellie. Great job, but I still feel like crap. And I'm like, okay, lie down until you want to move, or move if you want to move. And it's the other challenge I'm having is, one, do take yourself inside your mat, do feel your body on the floor, but also don't build an actual wall. If your foot comes off the mat, fine. And we have this real rigid idea around, nobody better stand on my mat. This is my territory.
Yeah.
Right. So in our room as well, I encourage stepping on the mat, and I invite myself into that space. And it's not like these are people off the street in my class. I have a connection with them. I have permission to be in their space. Yeah. I have consent to be in their space. But challenging those boundaries of, this is my mat, because in some yoga places, mats are stacked on top of each other. Space is not an option. So and we're also very far apart. So it's also smash down those walls, smash down the barriers that you've created for yourself, not just on your yoga mat. It's how are you going to apply what you've learned in yoga off the mat. Like, cool, you show up for yoga and you're all like delightful with a smile on your face and you look amazing, or not. But you become, or you show up to be the best version of yourself. You step off your mat and you're a less than nice person to somebody else. That's not yoga. Right? So it's realizing other people are going through shit and using what you learned on how to be present and patient with yourself outside of that. So it really is knocking us down, getting that connection.
Well, I did yoga in the UK for a while, and I remember there was a lady next to me, and she always just sit next to me, like she'd lie next to me, and we have a little chit chat before the session, and it was always an early morning. And I remember every time we did Shavasana, she would just cry. She would really cry. And you know what? There was that element of, I can't help, I can't go near her, or she's having Shavasana, I don't want to disturb. But she had her arms out like this, and I just grabbed her hand, and she just squeezed it so tight. And for me, for about a minute in my head, my ego was going, don't touch her hand. She's in Shavasana. Don't do this. Don't do that. You'll wake her up. You'll disturb. But my heart was saying she needs space, someone to hold space for her. And that doesn't mean getting her to wake up and say, you're okay. It was just holding her hand. And I remember she just squeezed it so tight. And I remember after the Shavasana, I was like, oh my God, my hand was all and it was so sweaty. And she didn't say anything to me. She just looked at me and she smiled and she went. And I didn't need anything. I didn't need a thank you. I didn't need I needed that. It just again, like, I want to touch on this quickly before we speak about fertility and crystals. A lot of the times when I'm trying to explain something to someone, I don't have the words to explain it. Like, for example, Wayne Dyer talks about a quantum shift and quantum change and quantum leaps and all these kind of things. And he recommends reading a book called The Quantum Change. And I read the book. And in that, he says when someone has like an awakening, a quantum shift, you can't explain it. Like, you try and there's like no words to describe something. And I've been feeling that the last few months, is that sometimes when I'm trying to explain like how I feel connected or what's the purpose of being here, or, you know, just anything like to do, you know, to a spirituality with, you know, enlightenment, whatever it is, I just feel like I don't have words, so I just stay silent. It's just like, because it's the feeling for me. You can't put words in a feeling sometimes. But if I'm sat with someone like you, Michelle, and I've got hold of your hands, there could be a feeling shared there, if that makes sense, because of that, you know, Celestine prophecy with the energy, So, like I said before, like, I'm such a social, outgoing, confident woman, but sometimes I'm like, I don't want to speak. I just want to go in like a little hole and just be in my little world for a little bit, and that's okay.
I think we definitely have to pay attention to those flows. I think, again, with programming and conditioning, when we're quite young, we're supposed to always smile, always show up as our best version of ourselves. Well, on Friday, if you come to class, I wasn't in my best outfit. I was in my PJs. And if you will, like you said, you're awake early and we're talking at 6 a.m., that's okay. I won't smile at you. I'm not going to respond. It's not going to be a civil conversation. I'm going to huff and puff into my cacao and come to slowly, and you do you. You know, like, I think we come to this age where we just, can I say...
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Be yourself.
Fucks, right?
So
we don't have to people please. We're learning fuck being empathetic, fuck people pleasing. Nah, I'm showing up for me. And at 6 a.m., some is bright as a button. Sometimes I'm bright as a button on a manic, like.
I think Rocky's the most excited one lately.
Oh, yeah, a dog. Yeah.
Sometimes you might get an animal lean against your arm when you're doing a pose. Yeah, we do. We have quite a few animals, and they match. They always bring the energy too, like not a hyper energy. I love that the animals come to our yoga. Loving affection.
Oh, I'd love my dog to come to my yoga, especially my older lab. He would just sit and he loves it. When I do Reiki at home, he just lies next to them.
They get so trained to it, eh?
Yeah. When I do it, he wants to lie on my mat, and I'm like, I need the mat, buddy. Come on.
You need one each.
Yeah.
Oh, see, now we have a little griffin. And she's 13, blind, deaf, or ignorant, I'm not sure. Yeah. But she's in there every class, goes and checks out on everyone. Yeah. And then I have a huge mastiff. Oh, yeah. And she'll take up a whole mat just lying down.
That's what Arlo's like.
But then we have the cats come in too.
So funny.
They're all in, and if we have wriggle bums, the cat will lie on someone and then you can't move. Can't do yoga if there's a cat there, can you?
Yeah. So, well, maybe not meant to. Maybe she's lying on you for a reason.
Yeah.
Sometimes they roll over for a tummy scratch.
Yeah.
But what I have learned is that I don't have to be this
perfect yoga teacher
presentation of what everyone else's expectations are. You know, like I've been in town and people are doing tequila shots at the bar, and they'll turn around and see me and they're like, "Oh my god, I shouldn't be." And I'm like, "No, like
it's you and it's your life." But I know.
Do honor yourself.
Yeah.
Like, honor those celebrations and stop making so many rules for yourself, you know. But I definitely think yoga is a healthier coping mechanism than all of the coping mechanisms.
It's like your own therapy, isn't it, really? Like it's
Yeah, I definitely think it beats the traditional talk therapy, as you were saying.
Sometimes I don't want to talk. I just want to connect to myself and just either cry it out in a room where I feel safe, you know, because like I could call someone who doesn't really get it and I'd just be talking into oblivion, or I could go to a yoga class and not have to speak and still have the same release, you know, like that release that I need, or that shift, or just to be, you know, like I've had a couple of cries this morning, which is fine, and I'm okay with that because, you know, I feel sad, and sad's a valid emotion. And
the crying thing, I have some people that come and then I have to say to them now, like, disclaimer, when you first start coming to yoga and we get to Shavasana, you've worked the breath, you've worked the body. We're now gonna find a way to get rid of those stress molecules. Now some of us fart them out, some of us pee them out, some of us sweat them out, yawn them out, but a lot of us cry them out, and we've had our lives being told we're too sensitive. So we're all these tears from being called too sensitive and stuck. And then we're finally given a space. So I don't call it crying, I call it leaking from your eyeballs. Yeah, so I'm like, that doesn't always happen. And then when people don't leak from their eyeballs, they also think something's wrong with them.
Yeah.
Well, that person seemed really happy after they had a cry, you know. But there are other ways too. We have women's circles where we get to verbally share. Yeah. But I think the thing that blows me away is the connection in that room. So the whole idea of you're never enough, push, get to the gym every day, train hard, you know. Yeah. There's this 75-day challenge thing, and they're like, it starts off with, I failed the 75-day challenge. I failed. You can't really fail at this, you know.
Well, you can't fail at life either, can you? It's just failure is just this word that goes around. There's no such thing as like, I just don't believe in that word. You can't fail at being yourself. You can't fail at life. There's no instruction manual when you're born. This is the perfect way to live your life.
Absolutely.
Same with motherhood. Like, I'm a stepmother. I've not got my own children yet, as in my birth, my own children, but there's no manual to say, here's how to be a stepmom.
No.
Does that differ from being a real mum? No, it doesn't. You know, it's like, we had this conversation 2 weeks ago with a lady I had on the podcast about, like, me categorising myself as a stepmom. Like, I wasn't a real mum. It's like, no, I am a real mum. I'm still doing all the stuff that a mum would do. I love it.
That's part of that mentality. Yeah. We're not enough. I know mums who divorce and go through shared custody, and because it's a 50-50 split,
they don't feel like
they don't feel like they're a real mum. So it's that place of self-deprivation. So when you come to yoga, we don't have a contract where you have to stay. I say you sign up for this amount of time, you show up as much as you want to, and then you're free.
Yeah.
Nobody doesn't come back. Like, there isn't any stuff holding them to that place, so that paying for the yoga is up to them, arriving for the yoga is up to them, how much effort they put in is up to them. And I find that, like nurturing anything, when you come from a place of love and nourishment, that shit's gonna thrive, man. Yeah. Like, look at the lotus. Like,
I was just looking at it because I've got it on my back.
Have you?
Yeah, I'll show it you really quick.
Oh, yeah, snaps.
Yeah. Yes, unalone. Yes. I love the...
I got this on a big birthday. With my mum, we have the same birthday.
Oh, lovely. What date's that?
Oh, I don't
know. What month?
I'm a Leo.
Oh, Leo, cool.
I'm a Leo. I'm like, can you guess my star sign? So, I'm fiery as fuck, eh?
Yep.
No, I just think, like, a part of that whole growing through the dirt, we've all been through so much, and we start our classes with, like, I know you guys have been pushing yourself all day. I know you haven't taken time for rest. Yeah. But hey, let's practice it now.
Well, I just spoke about that this morning on my stories about all of us go through loss, divorce, whatever it is, you know, and we just go through it differently with our support system, how we've been brought up. But the thing is so many people suppress emotion, and you know, that's why I think that's a safe space, and that's where I felt like yoga's been a space where I can cry out. And like, sometimes I get home from a yoga session, I'm just like, F me, like, you know, it just...
If I'm allowed to say fuck, you're allowed to say fuck.
I'm so used to it because of the kids and stuff. Like fuck me. I'm like, I get home and I'm just drained. Yeah. But in a not in a bad way, but in like that I needed that. You know, like, I feel drained today because I'm like sad and I've cried, but you know, I'm gonna go home this afternoon, have a nice bath and connect and meditate and put my nice incense on. That's why I bought the incense.
Make you a nice coffee before you leave today, if you like. That can be Ellie's reward.
I've been promised a coffee now. I have.
And I think yoga for me is, you know, yoga's been calling me for a few weeks. Like, I started doing Pilates because, again, you know, I want to get into pregnancy, and you know, my health friends were like, you know, Pilates is great to start, especially if you want to get pregnant, you can carry on with it. Yoga's the same, you know, having a mix between the two.
Yeah, we've had women in the class through pregnancy. Yeah. And I've run classes for mums and newborns and mums and kids. Yeah. And priorities really shift. But having that, making yourself a priority with the breath work and with the yoga, and coming from a place of nourishment instead of push, having that backing, I find that the community, the yoga, every single person in that community contributes to us all getting through that class together, to accepting us in whatever state we're in.
Yeah.
And we have had like people bring their babies, and like I've done so many yoga classes holding newborns and bouncing babies on hips and trying to still remember my yoga flow. Luckily it comes out automatically.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how many different reasons we can make up to be hard on ourselves. So I think one of the biggest changes that you'll find in our community is, like, not only do they get a tight butt, they're noticing that they're accepting their butt, right? There's changes in their body, but they're appreciating their body and meeting their body where it's at, rather than going, I wish I could look like this, or I wish I could, or I should be. That wishes and the shoulds and the could do's and like the try, let them all go. And accept that one down dog's enough, one thigh stretch is enough, one reach up to the ceiling. You know, really cutting it all back to the basics of what is it going to take for me to accept and meet myself exactly where I am. And it's not like I've had all the answers. I'm still doing that myself. I realized in last week I was at Whangamata and it was beautiful, and I had some traumatic memories, flashbacks of some memories. And I know that I could text my therapist. I love my therapist. She's amazing. I could text her, make an appointment with her and go talk to it. But what I noticed instead of talking to that was my body didn't know I still wasn't in that traumatic space. So the breath and the movement, the senses of the ocean, and, you know, that really helped me realize, this is a memory. My present body is separate. I don't, because all the same protection fires off within the body, like this, you know. And what you said before was about being able to find a space to let your tears out. Let's not forget that anger is also an emotion that we've labeled as not an emotion because it's mostly men that feel it. So it's like a staunch man thing, but it's actually an emotion. Like, men are emotional, right?
Well, it can be, the thing is, anger can come in different forms, because you can be passionate and angry.
Absolutely.
You know, like, especially with drive.
Realising that anger's there for a reason, and we shouldn't be pushing it down because it's not womanly.
It's valid,
to show their anger, you know? Like,
as I say, every emotion's valid, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes it's about, I wouldn't say labeling your emotion, but it's feeling into what the emotion feels like and where it feels and where you're feeling it in the body. And, you know, it's because it's, for me, like sadness, I'm just feeling it in the heart today, and that's normal because I'm going to miss my family, you know. So it's, you know, honouring that your emotion. And thing is, you know, everyone who listens to my podcast knows that I love Wayne Dyer, and he talks about everything being temporary, you know. So the emotions will be temporary, and tomorrow you'll wake up in a different mood, or you might wake up in the same mood, you know. So each day is different, but to honour the now.
Yeah.
Again, Eckhart Tolle, the power of now, what's happening now, and who can you talk to, you know, to let it out. Because that's kind of the stuff that I was telling my clients is, as much as you can call and text your therapist, you know, for my clients, I say to them, if you need to voice note me, text me, do it anytime. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. You know, they've got my number, they can contact me. Because sometimes when you're in the moment, you just want to scream and shout and let it all out. You know, it is, and it's, if you wait till 5 days down the road, it's kind of passed a little bit. So
it has, and sometimes not being able to let our anger out. You know those times where you really let shit rip and then you regret it. Yeah. So I did some work with, there's a great organisation on London Street. It used to be called HAPE, Hamilton Anger Intervention Program. It's now changed its name, so it's by a Māori name that I can't think of right now. But they teach you about how long emotions last and the cycle of grief and this kind of thing. I'm not sure if it's a sister organisation or an organisation on its own. Man Up, really, they would tackle on the issue of like, okay, you're angry, now what? How are we gonna not turn this into something where we're name calling or nasty? So there are ways other than yoga, but that sounds like yoga too, right? Just finding a new way to bring out your emotions and acknowledge that anger rage, that's a valid emotion, and we should have safe spaces.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, there are good ways to let it out. And I think a lot of women have repressed anger. I think a lot of men have repressed anger as well. I don't think it's just women, but I think women do feel
there's healthy ways to bring out your anger, isn't there? There's healthier ways to. I've got a few friends that I follow, and they just kind of close the door and punch the pillow. You know, it's like they're just on a bed, and I don't ever feel like I have to do that, really. Like there's when I was separated from my partner for 18 months because of COVID, you know, there was times where I just wanted to go and sit in my car and scream, but something stopped me doing it, because I felt like screaming just to me was fear. And I really stopped. Yeah, so I just kind of suppressed that.
We get scared of our voice. Whether we're afraid that words will come out, or we won't get the right words out, or we're trapping those tears. It really has an effect on our throat. Yeah. And our thyroids and health issues long term. I really think there is a huge amount of this guilt and shame cycle that we carry around with us. We shouldn't feel angry. We shouldn't have an outburst. Yeah. Like sometimes you just gotta get angry, right? Yeah. And it's like, that's okay. Let's let some of that out. Yeah. The same way you should be allowed to cry. It will be should. Yeah. But it's learning that. It's giving yourself permission when you spent so much of your life grooming yourself to not be emotional, not be sensitive. And being emotional is anger as well. For me, I'm proud that I get to communicate to my husband that I need you tonight. You know, I need that, even though, like, you know, we give each other, you know, time and love each day. You know, this morning I broke down and said, I really need you tonight. You know, can we just like watch a movie together? I really need you tonight. Yeah, like it just, and he hugged me, said whatever you need. You know, cause that, you know, he's my husband now, and we just, I know in a few weeks when we go to America, he's got to see his family. He's going to need me, and that's what marriage is. It's what partnership is. And I just said to him, because you know, it's took me a while to be able to communicate that, because I felt like, oh God, he's got his own stuff going on and he's busy. But the thing is, he's always got time for me, because that's the way we are in a relationship. So I just said to him this morning, I really need you tonight. Like, you know, so he's helping me with a few things this afternoon, and I feel so grateful for that. Yeah. You know, and being able to honor that, and I just need like the balance, the scales. I'm a Libra, so I said, you know, can you just give me a little bit more tonight, and I'll repay. It's like just the whole like woo. And we're doing that date night this weekend. You know, we'll hopefully do that spiritual fest that's on at Raglan this weekend. Yeah, we'll try and get something to that. Yeah. So I want to move on to Michelle's notes today about crystals for fertility.
Yeah, so Pippa, when you brought up the topic with me, I thought I'll do some investigating. Yeah. And then you can play with it, and hopefully down the track in the near future we'll hear some good news. So, you know, there's a lot of talk about crystals and how they help with the healing energies and that on the body. And it can also be a sensitive subject, because some people get offended and upset that we say crystals may help your body. So it can be quite sensitive. I think the biggest thing to be aware of is that crystals can help on a spiritual level. Yeah. If we take away that human thought of, oh, this is going to heal me. Yeah. It may help. You know, like the Egyptians have used crystals for years, and they actually used to grind them up and used to drink them. And these days we have the fear of, oh, if we put the crystal in the water, oh, but can I put this one in? Is this one going to be okay? You know, the fear. I
did last week. You told me to put the blue agate in the water. I wasn't feeling well, and within like 3 hours my throat had like cleared. But there was that resistance of, oh my God, I'm putting a crystal in the water. Has it been clean? I'm just thinking, no, just do it. And I did it, and it was like, I think I just let go. I surrendered. It was like,
trust yourself with it a lot of the time. And when I'm doing crystal elixirs, I often say to people, well, put the crystal in a glass, put that glass in the bowl, and fill the bowl with water. And when I first did that with some blue laser agate, I was really surprised, because I'm one that you have to prove it. Well, I used to be. Prove it to me before I believe you. Yeah. Don't just tell me that this is going to help the tree grow or whatever it might be. And so for me, when I did the crystal elixir, the water tasted powdery for me. And I needed that, because I needed the proof that crystal wasn't in the water, but it tasted weird.
Yeah. I love how you just said that then, because Wayne says, instead of saying, I'll believe it when I see it, you'll see it when you believe it. It's like he changed it round, yeah. Because he says change your thoughts, change your life. You know, when you do start to look at things differently, it's you do change how you see things.
Yeah.
Like you said, like I know, I just touch on something that me and my mum spoke about last week, was the Aztecs used to drink their own pee.
Oh, yes.
What was it called? Golden something, and like ultimately, like we just go, but like they thought that had healing properties.
But it's sterile, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like if you had no water, it would keep you alive.
Yeah. So that's what they did. Like if it was, to keep them alive, they would drink pee. So
pee on your cut.
Yeah.
I love that you said about the proof thing, because I like to refer to myself as sciencey or geek chic, right? And I was like, nah, crystals. And then somebody caught me out the other day when I was a swim, and I was like, I didn't get my hair wet. Oh, but at least I got my crystal in the water.
Yeah.
Right? So who taught me that I need to cleanse my crystals?
Oh, I don't know.
Probably you.
Well, it's interesting. Trevor and I were delving in crystals and spiritual work since we connected together with each other about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And the thing that stopped me opening a shop before now was the fact that, do I know enough? I don't know enough. I don't believe, I don't trust, I don't, all these don'ts. And then having to let go of it, and it's like, oh, if I don't know the answer, hang on a second, I'll get the crystal Bible.
That's all you have to do,
Yeah, you don't.
It's like we don't have to have all the answers there and then. Like I'm like that. Like I said the same when I started helping people and guiding people. It was like, I don't know enough. Who am I to help them? Who am I to be this spiritual like healer, teacher, whatever I want to call myself, to help these other people? It wasn't even the point. It was the point that actually I'm taking my time to help someone to feel better and leave them better than I found them. And I surrendered and thought, even if I help one person a day. When I started the podcast 3 years ago, I was like, who's going to listen to my podcast? I'm too late. Should have started 5 years ago.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah, so and I just, now I see it, and like I said, now I hear it and I catch it and I go, I might listen to you. I know enough. I'm already enough at that. And the thing is, I'm learning as I go. I'm reading. I've just bought the book off you, Change Thoughts, Change Your Life. Wayne Dyer rewrote the Tao Te Ching. I love the Tao Te Ching. My values come from the Tao Te Ching, and I kind of feel like I'm being called to read it again. So like the imposter syndrome is constantly there. It's like a little person on your shoulder, isn't it, saying, you can't do that. Who are you to do that? And the thing is, now I listen and I go, I ain't listen to you. Flick off.
Also giving the person you're presenting to credit.
Yeah.
They're not going to listen to it if it doesn't align with them.
Yeah.
So...
And I think
they're being nice for a little while.
The powerful shift for me that I remember saying something about 18 months ago, and I was still in the UK, and I was in a rough place at times because I missed Chris so much, and we're all in the pandemic together, obviously, but I was really missing him, and I was doing a live masterclass, and I remember saying to someone, there's about 20 women on, and I said, you know what, if you don't resonate with me, that's completely fine, but please go and find someone that you do resonate with. And at the end of it, I listened back and I was like, oh my God. Because normally, like, an older version of me would be like, oh, they don't resonate with me, they don't like me. Oh my God, I need to change myself so they do like me. Where I stopped doing that, fuck the people pleasing.
Yeah.
Because I was like, not everyone's going to like me, not everyone's going to like this podcast, not everyone's going to resonate with my voice, with my message, but the right people will. So I always say to everyone I meet is that if you don't resonate with a certain person, find the teachers you do. I come across people who've said, oh, do you like such a teacher from Hay House? Or do you like, I'll go, no, I don't really resonate with that person. I may do in the future. I never used to resonate with Eckhart Tolle, but I'm watching him next month in Auckland, because I love his work, and I never used to. So I just kind of surrender the fact that maybe I don't resonate with them now, but maybe I will when I'm down. Because sometimes I never used to understand them,
I think the idea that you haven't got enough knowledge is that future fear of rejection.
Yeah.
Right, that future suffering. And we don't want to feel that rejection.
So you're kind of controlling it so you don't...
Yeah, like...
And sometimes
I'm an acquired
taste. Had some of that when you're growing up.
Yeah.
Conditioning as a child.
Yeah, true.
And we bring that into our adulthood this lifetime, or it could be past lifetimes. I know for me, a lot of my issues, and one of the words I get come through today is believe, but I know a lot of my stuff comes from childhood, this lifetime, with my upbringing, and being like, I'm one of 3 kids, and I've got an older brother and a younger brother. And my younger brother used to always copy. I learnt guitar, so he had to learn guitar. I started drawing, so he had to draw, and he was always looked upon as really, really good, and I wasn't spoken about. So yeah, this sort of stuff will, the growth and
see the self-awareness. So that's the key that I teach people, is self-awareness is the biggest strength you've got, really, because you can be self-aware and go, I know where that's coming from.
Yeah.
And you can go into, like you said, that memory. You dissociated it. It's just a memory, because your body wants to relive it now. It's like, oh my God, I'm going through it now. When you're not, you dissociate. Actually, it's like it was happening in 1995. It's now 2023. Let me just separate the two, honor it, and go through. Let me see it, and then you start. Let's say, like, think of your tapestry. Like, you start to connect on threads, and you go, the self-awareness is, for me, is key. Like I said, you've got that awareness, and I celebrate my clients. They'll come to me and say, this happened yesterday, and I got really triggered, and then I connected to my brother when this, and I'm like, and I just stopped and I just clapped them and I say, you know how credible that is? You've just literally connected something. But then they go, so what do I do with it next? I'm like, nothing. That's like healing. That's healing in itself. Like, you are connecting something, and that's all it is. You don't have to, again, perfect mat, perfect lycra, but there's no perfect way to heal. There's no set rule. There's no set path. There's just you're healing till you change form. It's like, that's what my teachers are still teaching me, is that, they're moving through this journey. And I do think Eckhart Tolle's probably self-actualized, because I just feel like nothing bothers him. when I watch him, I go, nothing bothers him. It just feel like nothing bothers him anymore. But I remember Wayne Dyer, before he died, he said he was in Sydney. That was a week before he died. And he said he found himself in a situation where he lost his temper with a waiter, and he caught himself. And that's why I say to my clients, if you mess up, if you find yourself, you just snapped at someone, but you catch yourself.
That's the yoga off the mat.
Yeah.
That's when you catch yourself and you change direction.
Instead of just sitting with it for days, regretting it, going over it, should have said this, should have said that. And that's where the anxiety creeps in, because you're still living this. It's like you press play and you go in play, replay, and it's just constantly in this thing where if you just go, I didn't like how I handled that, and next time I'll try to handle it this way, or I'll encourage myself to try this. It's just a trial and error. It's like, for me, it's like sometimes I'll go, I shouldn't have got angry at that person on the road today. Like, road rage was a big one for me. Like, that was where I started to really shift.
I practice, I talk about this with people in class as well. As we practice more yoga, we learn to become responsive instead of reactive.
Respond instead of reacting.
I think there's so many avenues we can go down, and it can be physically on the mat, it can be breath work, it can be coach work, it can be fitness work, whatever it is that gets you into space where you can respond.
Respond to it.
Good about your response, instead of being reactive and then having that guilt, shame.
Well, that's what they say about the universe. Does the universe react to you? No, it responds to you. It's what you're putting out. So it doesn't react to you and go, it responds to you. It's a flow, isn't it? So it's, as I said, the self-awareness is for me, the hands down, the biggest gift you can give yourself. For doing your own work and your own healing work. Sometimes when I get triggered, which is quite rare now, but when I do, I'm like, I need to reach out to about 5 people to get their advice. And sometimes now I don't need to. I'm like, no, it's okay. I'm okay. I'm safe.
I was thinking about how anger is related to the fertility and the crystals, and how our ovaries are a huge source of our anger, right? So we're like unbalanced, and I've been using hot rocks to get that some pressure back into there. Obviously, I've got 4 children. I've lost 3 pregnancies. Again, we're talking about loss. But for me, when I was pregnant, people would pass crystals over that. But to have that many pregnancies, I'm really finding there's a new awareness within my ovaries and within my body that when I'm feeling triggered or angry, it's like a fizz in my ovaries now, with that mind-body connection and really sensing. I feel like it's there. And one of my friends says that we store some grief in our lungs and we store anger down here. And I'm thinking, we've been talking about repressed anger, we're talking about fertility, we're talking about crystals, so bringing that all into unity, in what way can we support that fertility and the cycle? We've been talking about our cycles as well, and I'm wondering what crystals we can heat up and get
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Wow, yes.
You know, and whether you should come to a hot massage and get that, because she does one specifically for uterus and ovary support.
Yeah, there's a little bit of angst and worry for me, like creeps in about, is it going to take me months to get pregnant or years to get pregnant, you know, because it just in the back of your mind, you know, I'm 33 this year.
Did you spend your whole youth trying to avoid getting pregnant because you were told that it was super easy to get pregnant?
Yeah, and I was careless. I was careless when I was younger, you know, I was really careless with sex when I was younger.
It's hard to get pregnant, eh?
Yeah, so I was like, you know, me and my partner we don't use protection, and I'm not on any protection because I came off it, best thing I ever did. But there's also that fear of, what if I don't? What if I not abused myself, but like I was so careless growing up that I'm not meant to be pregnant, You know,
I had some of that sensation as we're supposed to grow up and have those children, and if we feel like we're barren or infertile, what a disappointment we are for a man. Like, how can I not give him that offspring that we so desperately want, right? And it's coming to accept that, and because I had some fertility issues, and we started along the track of IVF, and then it somehow righted itself, but I still remember feeling like, oh my God, what if he leaves because I can't have a baby? Yeah. So I get that, and now from where I'm standing now, I'm like, how can we support the reproductive system through yoga, through breath work, through all of the
crystals? The main one I always relate to fertility is the moonstone, because to me moonstone's new beginnings.
That's my favourite crystal. Yeah.
When I was doing my research on preparing for pregnancy of crystals, they talk about with moonstone, ensuring you use your diary and record your monthly.
Yeah. I'm very in tune with my cycle.
Yeah.
Like even now, like I'm due on any day, and my partner just knows. He's like, I feel you. You need those. It's like we should get you a tent and you go sleep in the garden for like 2 or 3 nights, because I'm just a bit irritable, but I'm very aware of it, so I do keep track of it, and I know when I'm on my period, I feel quite energized. But the 3 or 4 days before, I'm like really drained, tired.
And do we honour that? Are we honouring that? Because we have a week where we just want to lie in our beds with a hot rock or a hot pack and eat chocolate
and tell everyone to go away.
Make unhealthy coping choices. Right?
Yeah. I think with like the fertility as well is that for me, because I had a lot of abnormal cells, I had my pap tests and I had to go every year. So I got my all clear in 21. And it was amazing because I'd healed my eyesight as well. So I had to wear glasses for a while, and I was doing this big healing journey, and I was doing a lot of womb healing, I was doing bodily healing, and I went back for my eye test, and she went, why have you been wearing glasses? I was like, because my left eye was worse, and she went, you got perfect sight. I was like, oh my God. And then the week after I did my pap test, and she said, you've got the all clear, and I was so much like relief, but also like I was really proud of myself. But then there's this little imposter saying, oh, because you had all the abnormal cells, thankfully I didn't have any burned off. I didn't have to go down that road.
But I feel also see.
Yeah.
Like,
but there's fear.
There. Yeah. Right? You are in perfect health.
I know, exactly.
You have abundant eggs and abundant nesting tissue down there. Let's put a baby in it.
I know, that's what I mean. Like, so there's a bit of like, what's the word? I need to happen now, so I know it's working. Where my partner,
you need to relax.
But my partner's like, my partner's got 2 boys. Yeah, my partner's got 2 boys. He's 50. He's like totally chill. He can't wait for more children. He loves being a dad. For me, it's like, well, I'm 33 and I want to have at least 3 children. I've only got 7. And I'm like, shush.
Thing, then you'd be all
so Chris has twins and triplets on his side.
Oh, wow.
And there's been a few psychics and a few intuitive friends that have said it's going to be twins or triplets. They can't figure out what it's going to be. She said I'm going to have either 1 birth or 2 births, but there's going to be 3 children. And I was like, oh.
Why are you even worried, man?
Twins is fun.
I scrub that part of your brain.
My first pregnancy was twins.
Oh.
And the most beautiful girls.
I know. Oh, I think I'd love twins.
And they entertain each other.
And you're a legend because you take everything in your stride.
Well, you haven't seen all my soft spots yet. I think I've only cried at yoga twice. I'm excited for that. Like I was saying today when I was sad for my parents leaving, my mum said, next time we see you could be pregnant. And I was like, oh, that makes me excited, because we've got 1 baby in the family. My sister had a baby and she just turned 2 and I miss her like crazy.
and she's the first grandchild of the family. So I think, you know, it's going to be nice when I have my children, you know. So with fertility and crystals, like for me now, like preparation of the body, what would you recommend?
First of all, what I'd say is I put together the information on preparing for pregnancy of crystals, and obviously I'm not going to read through it all today, but you can get this information off our website. So I've put it on our information page.
Cool.
So you can bring it up and you can print it off.
I'll put that in the show notes. Yeah.
But you know, it surprised me because I always think moonstone, carnelian, citrine, you know, rose quartz and things. But it surprised me that chrysocolla also came up.
Wow.
And chrysocolla is said to be one that helps you to remember to diary some me time, teaches you to say no to others and start looking after yourself. And they say, you know, if it sounds like you, then maybe start wearing a piece of chrysocolla jewellery or just pop crystal in your bra. And just, you know, start getting in that zone. Just have a feel for it. Like, you know, gather these crystals. You know, a bit of chrysocolla, carnelian, even a bit of red jasper, which is supposed to be a good grounding energy crystal. Have them on your dressing table or in the bathroom in the morning and just look at them and go, right, okay, what do I feel like today? And just, you know, a lot of ladies put their cell phone in their bra, which I wish they'd stop. Yeah. You know, one of our girls does that. I wish instead we could replace that phone with a crystal. Yeah. And just pop what you feel you need for the day on. It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't have to be fancy. You can just put it in your pocket, put it in your handbag. Yeah. You know, the most fun is when you put it in your jacket and then you put a different jacket on and you're like, oh, what crystal have I got today? Yeah,
it's with you for the reason.
So no matter what is said about crystals, being in tune with yourself and wearing what you feel you need today. And if you really can't decide, put some clear quartz on because that helps with clarity.
Do you have any fertility sets in the shop?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So
maybe I need to get one.
Yeah, so we do have a fertility set that we've made up and it has the top 5 recommended crystals that we've researched. We also have a necklace set for when you do conceive. It's a necklace with a little spiral and you interchange the crystals depending on what you feel you need for mother and the new you know, baby while within you. So we do have some nice packs there for those wanting to conceive and for those who are carrying baby.
Oh, it gets me so giddy. Yeah.
But, you know, and also, you know, a crystal that may be of assistance is a piece of agate because that's your strength and your courage. And whether it is for preparing for pregnancy or if it's just for every day and you just need to draw on some strength.
Birth too, you know, your confidence of birth. And
and a bit of malachite is supposed to be really good for labour pains.
Okay.
Peridot is supposed to be really helpful for your emotions during the birthing process. Citrine said to balance hormones.
During the birthing process, have a massive crystal and just hit your husband.
I'll tell you what, with our last child, because we've got a blended family, Trevor and I, and so James we had together, and he didn't want to be born. And so here I was 40 plus weeks, they're trying to encourage James to be born, and the doctor goes, right, okay, we'll burst the water sac. That'll make him arrive. So he decided to prod to try and burst the water sac, and James put his hand in the way.
Oh, I love that.
He was not going to be disrupted. And we had beautiful music going. Yeah, I love Jeff Clarkson's music. Jeffrey's been supportive of our store and with his music and everything. And so we had Peace and Quiet 2 playing continuously.
That's what I love about New Zealand.
Like, oh, what's that sound? What's that smell? When they're all coming past and whiffing all these things that we were trying.
I was definitely meant to have children in New Zealand because the UK is very like, get your baby out home. Like it's very traumatic for my sister, you know, especially through the pandemic. My brother-in-law wasn't allowed in until she was like 8 centimetres. I had to run him back and forth. She's on her own, contracting on her own, like, that support. She didn't feel safe,
really clinical there too, eh? Like, I heard a lot of people that, like, we don't breastfeed here because these are for my husband, they're not for my baby, and the whole two.
Where, like, my friends here said you can have a birthing centre, you can pick your midwife if she's there's a lot more variety, and for me, I want to have, I want a birthing pool because I love baths, I love being in the water. I want to have my sage on, my crystals, my music. Yeah. Like, I want the whole shebang, you know?
There you don't get a choice. The midwives swap every 12 hours.
I want a TV in my room so I can play Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, I love Disney, so I'm like, play my Disney, please. Put my Disney music on. Because,
you get the consideration of whether you do a home birth.
Yeah. Well, my partner's very scientific. He's spiritual science, so he's got both. So he's like, I want to be in the hospital I'm like... It's one of those, isn't it? I get where he's coming from. He wants me to be safe, and if any complications, have someone there that can help. But I'm like, it's my first child, blah blah blah. But I'm just not thinking about what could go wrong. I'm thinking about what could go right.
I think if you look after your health, look after your fitness, mind's what you put into your body, what foods, and that, and just positive.
Sorry, Shell, what came up with what you were saying before was making yourself a priority.
Yes.
What's the other one? Taking care of yourself. These are things I think that if we're not doing, the body goes, if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of a kid, right?
Yeah.
So I thought those are really, like, you were saying, be mindful what you put into your body. Make yourself a priority. Again, that's what yoga is, right?
Yes.
It's that showing up to take care of your body. So, when are you coming to yoga?
Yeah.
Friday?
Pippa?
Friday,
6 a.m.
Yeah.
Come for coffee after.
Yeah.
All right. Done.
As I'm saying, because the lady I was speaking to the other week, she said she would feel guilty to go to yoga class at 8, even though the kids are in bed and the husband was there. Because she felt like she was like, that guilt. But now she does it. She can be a better mother because she's putting herself first and she's teaching her kids. I'm going to yoga and teaching your kids to put yourself first.
Yeah.
And the music that Ellie has on, like, it's all positive stuff. Yeah. And as I'm listening to the music, and I'm thinking, our 14-year-old at home is listening to the opposite music. So now I'm thinking, he won't come at 6 a.m. in the morning, but maybe he might try, maybe I have to go to an evening class and try and get him to come along.
Yeah.
Because he's trying
to setting the example,
Or you play the playlist and do it at home.
Yeah, so we can see.
Bring
it to him.
Because you know what, it's harder. I think for children, it's really difficult between sort of the 12, 14 sort of age group. And I've seen our youngest go through with his hormonal changes and everything. And half the time I don't know what to say to him. And he's like feeling all this anger and he's not speaking up like we've been talking. Yeah. Last night, for some reason, I turned around and the last words I said to him as I left his room is, "You are important."
Yeah.
Because he's like, why don't I sleep? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do this? And I said, you're here for a reason. We're all on earth for our lessons. We've got work to do. Unpaid work. We've got work to do. We've got spiritual work to do. But the last thing I said is, you are important.
The more I hear that if we tap out of this life, we have to come back to relive those lessons, I'm
not
like,
much fun.
I ain't tapping out. I've worked too hard in this lifetime.
It's funny you mentioned that. Yeah. So I spoke to Neil Donald Walsh on the podcast, Conversation with God, and he mentioned about we don't come here to learn. He said we come here to experience. Because he said, so that's why I kind of like, because I've not really had an opinion. He said, let me help you form an opinion. I was like, okay. And he gave me this 3-minute beautiful speech. I cried. And he said, after you'll have to listen to it. It's about a tree, and the tree is just a tree, and you are just you. There's no it's like we overcomplicate it. Yeah. So he said, if we're just learning, so Dolores Cannon, who I'm trained under, she thinks we come here to learn. Earth is a school. Part of me kind of agrees with that. But if we don't learn a lesson here, we're going to keep coming back and keep coming back. Some of us don't even want to be here in the first place. So it's like the thought of coming back and back and back and back and back can seem really, really heavy for a lot of us. Yeah. But actually, no, we came here to experience what's it like to be a human. And that includes anger, sadness, happiness, love, joy, all of the feels. So when he kind of mentioned that, I actually really agreed with him. I was like, you know what, that makes more sense to me. Because when we make life this whole lesson and learning, we're constantly thinking of, I need to learn lessons. Again, from parents, you need to learn your lesson, you need to learn the hard way. Well, I don't really. There's no hard way. It's just, you're just learning. You're learning to be a better person and a kinder person, a more loving person. But when you think of the experience, that word's lighter.
I think when you start using the word experience, we were talking about language before. And it was getting rid of try. To quote Yoda, there is no try. You either do or you don't. You show up at 6 a.m. or you don't.
Yeah.
Some of the other things are get rid of the word should.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Stop apologizing, right? And accepting this body right here, right now. And that we're not here to heal. We're not here to pick a journey or whatever. We're here to experience, like being at Rainbow Zen or a massive carnival. How much fun can you fit into this? And that can include downtime. It can include nap weeks.
I've been feeling naps. I've never been a napper, and now I'm like, I want to start napping because I'm just 2:00. I'm like, oh.
One of my instructors, she celebrates the nap. Her name's Sandra Palmer, and she's amazing. She does how to respect the nap and how to drop into that space. And I went on a 60-hour trauma training where every day we were encouraged to join her for a nap.
I love that.
45-minute nap.
Okay.
Yeah, so for me, I did another year with her just for
naps.
Yeah, so I do because I do aerial fitness as well, and the yoga, and I get everything done, and the children sorted, and Tuesday late at night, I got some deep yoga stretches in there.
Yeah.
Like
nap is self-care for sure. My husband loves naps. I'm like, he said start napping because you'll need to nap when you've got a baby.
Yeah, you've got to nap when the baby naps.
Yes. So yeah, I think there's definitely more topics we can talk about because there's like see how you can go down so many different rabbit holes, and so I think we should do a part 2. What do you think? I think we should.
Yeah, why not, Ellie?
I'm never allowed to decide.
I would like to put the intention out that we do a part 2.
When Michelle said podcast, and I was like, somebody in the yoga class went, yep, she's gonna do it. And then another time it was mentioned, another yoga student was like, no, definitely. So,
it's crazy as well because we were supposed to do it the other week, but today was definitely meant because everything's meant to be, isn't it? Like I believe in that. I believe in that definitely. There's always a divine timing. But I've really enjoyed.
Why the fuck not?
Yes, right? I've enjoyed talking to you today.
I've got way more swear words I can get. So,
anything else you wanted to share, Michelle, before we finish?
No.
All good. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm gonna put Ali's. Have you got social media? Or are you not really big social media?
No.
If someone wants to get in contact with you for yoga, can they contact you?
Michelle.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll put you in touch with Ellie.
Yes, I will put all the show notes.
My admin is atrocious, but my yoga's spot on.
Yeah, That's all that matters.
Yeah.
So I'll put all of the details on the show notes, guys. But yeah, reach out to Michelle if you want to get in touch with Ali. Yeah. Best to find her, but we're going to yoga on Friday.
All right. Sound. It's awesome. We meet up for coffee as well. So even if you miss yoga, I still encourage everyone to show up for coffee. How many was the first time you came for coffee? How many of us went?
Oh my gosh, there was heaps. There was 2 tables full of people.
That's ace. I love that connection.
We hit down there and they opened up for us on their day off.
Yes.
Ace. Love it.
Beautiful coffee.
They expect us in there now, eh?
They do.
They know.
So if you're in the area, guys, Friday.
7 a.m.
7 a.m.
At Lost
Boys.
Cool. I'm excited. So if any questions, guys, reach out to us, reach out to Michelle. If you've got any questions for Ali, Michelle will send them over. Yes. And I hope you've enjoyed listening. I've definitely enjoyed our topic today, and I'll see you next week for another episode. Bye, guys.